Is it possible to you to explain a good day at your end? Because I guess every day differs, but let's say you have between 10 and 30 different projects going on at the same time. You can't be involved in every project every day, I guess, but how would you structure a perfect day to make sure that your output is as good as you think it can be, maximum?
The client's listening on this? No, I'm kidding.
I have no idea.
No,
I have no idea.
no. The fortunate thing about, yes, I do have 20, 30, or perhaps so projects going on at the same time. But these are all they're all moving parts, and some they stop for a moment of time, and others are a bit we are pressed for time, etc. So of course. But when you look away from all that, which is the sort of daily juggling of different tasks, then the best periods are the ones where you really work, where you've done all this footwork that I talked about, and you're starting to sort of get the ideas coming, and you start to work on them, and you start to sort of work on ideas and test them out, and the early work of that is well, that's just magical.
So I think, I don't know if you agree, but I feel sometimes in creative work, people try to measure it based on the hours you work. But sometimes I feel if you did your homework, then suddenly 2 hours can make the process of maybe 100 hours, because suddenly you're connecting the dots all together. And do you think that's kind of like common in creative stuff, that sometimes you do the footwork and a project stands still, but suddenly you have that spark that suddenly see, okay, now I see the next 5 months that we're going, and that is actually worth maybe thousands of hours, because in creativity you can't really force it, can you? I don't think Snorre can sit down and say, I will solve this today, and then just put an all-nighter and then the project is finished in his head. Do you feel like you have to use some serendipity in order to get those massive projects that maybe are recognized 10 years later?
Yeah, I mean, you can't force it. That's for sure. But of course, at some point it helps having a deadline too. So you have to sit down and you have to really now I need to solve this. So the pressure of having the time pressure itself also creates a focus that to me is necessary, and is a good element of a creative process. But I mean, this is not something you can measure in hours. It's the output at the end which is important. And anyway, how are you going to note down hours if you are sort of lying, if you're waking up in the middle of the night, and then you have a thought which you need to put down on paper, and you get to sleep again, and then oh no, and then you do something else, or you walk you need to take a walk to or go for a hike, and then suddenly the inspiration sort of comes from that. I mean, because you're constantly thinking, you're constantly working on the project, but you're not sitting in front of the computer, perhaps working in something which can be shown in 100 different diagrams or sketches. We work in different ways, I think, people. And some, I think, need to sort of work through things like sketching or building models, and others. For others, it's more of a mental process where you need to sort of think things through, work it like a model in your mind, etc.
But I think the biggest problem is that today we kind of work like we did when we were running factories, right? To do one task, and that's why also the school system, there's a reason why we're all sitting the way we're sitting, because it's based on the factory or the industrial revolution. So it's very interesting that when the tasks become more and more creative, I don't think you should use the structure you use to run a factory, arriving at 8, going home at 4, punching in and punching out.
Absolutely not, and I'm certainly not doing that. we couldn't have had this at 8, that's for sure. No, perhaps in the evening, but then exactly. We would be making dinner. No, I mean, also so to be able to work from different, and now we can work from any place. So I mean, working from home today, or I might be in the office tomorrow, or in a cafe, or I might be when I'm traveling. Of course, I'm working and I'm seeing new places. I'm sort of working when I'm traveling on the ways, or just finding a good spot to sit and work wherever I am. That's just you need to be able to sort of make your own mind space to do that. For me, at least, that's the key to that. I can work anywhere, so regardless of what's going on around me, I guess, and not completely regardless, of course, but mostly. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think that's part of the problem, that we don't really know how to measure. And an architectural studio typically will invoice based on hours, on hourly production, and I think that's a problem, because then you need to be producing. You need to be able to sort of work diagrams or sketches for the hours that you are charging, and that work may both be not very let's say rewarding in terms of the output, or it may even be putting things too hard, and you're working. A lot of this has to do with finding the right directions to develop something, using as little time as possible, working on things that aren't fruitful at all, or maybe even completely the wrong answer to what you're doing.